Bobby Ingram, Curtis Ennis. Know that we've been loyal way back from the beginning. A trusted source for the news. 79th Halas, what it is, what it do. Since Bobby Ingram, Curtis Ennis. Know that we've been loyal even when we wasn't winning. A trusted source for the news. 79th Halas in your ears, you. Since Bobby Ingram, Curtis Ennis. Know that we've been loyal.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, Bears fans? It is your boys, Scott and Flows, here back with another edition of 79th Halas. This is episode 264. My bad. 264. We passed 200 episodes 2 years ago. 264. 2.5 years ago. Damn, August 2022 was damn near 2.5 years ago. Where's the time flying? Anyway.
I want to, if you don't mind, Scott, I want to go back to a conversation me and you had, was it yesterday, about just how long we've been doing this?
Yeah, go ahead.
How long have we been doing 7 Halas, Scott?
10 years. This is the 10th season.
10 years. We just want to say, maybe it's too presumptuous of us, but we are kind of pioneers in this field, at least in Chicago. We were doing podcasts before most of your favorite Chicago Bears creators were doing podcasts. We've done this for a very long time. And time is flying because I didn't realize it's been 10 years, but just realizing when we came from like shitty computer mics to solid equipment now to covering the Bears is just amazing to me.
So being meathead sports fans to being the media.
Right. So just seeing where we've come from and where we are is kind of nuts to think about. But I'm very thankful, very, very thankful for so far. And then we get to the Bears, of which I'm not so thankful.
Yeah, man. We are here to talk about this episode 264. Shout out to everybody watching this on Twitter, on YouTube. Shout out to all y'all.
Go ahead and tweet about it.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. So shout out to all y'all, man. We here. We haven't done an episode in a couple of weeks because of the holidays, the Bears playing all these different games. And honestly, 1 week we was just like, nigga, we don't know how to keep telling y'all this team stinks. Like that's right. That's really what it came down to. We 1 week, I think it was around the holiday. Me and Joe was like, all right, man, like, how many more times can we tell y'all these niggas are sorry?
After a while, getting on camera and talking about the same topic over and over again just gets tiring. I don't feel like doing it. I want to go, you know what? Y'all got it. It's cool.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't feel like doing this right now, but
at least there's something to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about today.
You know what I mean? At least there's a direction of which we want to go. With so many other topics, it's Bears lose. It was terrible. Caleb had a good game. Defense didn't show up. Roma Dunze dropped the pass. It sucks. Like, or the what used to be our annual, hey, the Bears stink, but let's develop the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you all. Appreciate you.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. We appreciate y'all. Now it's the quarterback's good. Let's just make sure we get the head coach right.
Right. Which I wonder if we've always cared this much about a head coach job as we have before. I think this is the first time. This has to be, because when you got what you call it, Nagy, you're coming off of Fox.
This is our fourth. This is our fourth coach coming up since we've been doing this show. Pathetic.
You're talking about Nagy. You had a high pick. There was something to work with, but you weren't. Nagy you didn't have as much intention on a coach yet because you had to get the QB decision right. And for the first time in my history, the Bears have a quarterback, and now you're like, you need to get the fucking head coach right. So as much as we hate rehashing stuff, this is the first time we legitimately have something new to discuss, and it's what the hell do you do with the quarterback? What do you do with the decision around that?
Yeah, it's a lot to get into. By the way, follow us at Barbershop Scott at Flows and Delaney. You see at the bottom of the screen. If you listen to this on audio, follow the Barbershop Network at Barbershop Net. Follow 79th Halas, 79th Halas. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Barbershop Network. Visit bcnet.com and go to bcnetshop.com. Get some merchandise over there, man. But before we get to this week's events, events, we gotta talk about something that we have not been able to talk about many times in the 10 years we've been doing this podcast, and that is the Bears beat the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. Bears beat the Packers 24-22, game-winning walk-off field goal by Cairo Santos. He got a little bit of redemption for the Week 11 botch where he got blocked. Caleb was really, really good in that fourth quarter. 2 nice throws to Roma Dunze and DJ Moore, which got them in field goal position. And Caleb's done this 5 times this year. It's the first time that the defense of the head coach didn't get in his way of an actual W. What are your thoughts on that? We ain't got to spend too much time on this because it's been a couple of days, the season's over, but we have to acknowledge this. What did you think about the Bears beating the Packers?
That was great. I will say, though, I did not care as much. So I have to give you my frame of thought. So it was great, but it was also like, all right, let's move on. The reason I say that is the season was such a disappointment, one that I partially saw coming because of the offensive and defensive line. I really struggled in that department. What I did not expect was Eberflus to be such a even worse coach than I thought he was, and then struggling offensively. I thought, okay, you got Shane Waldron coming in. He helps with Geno's best season as a pro. Probably he'll do solid. Disaster. And then here comes Thomas Brown, leads like with 4 good games of Caleb, but the team sucks. He comes in, the coach team sucks even more. Like I didn't expect so much calamity in the season. So now that the dub is over, I didn't get to celebrate it as hard as I could. That being said, I did go on YouTube and see Packer fans react to this and go, because a rivalry is so fucking important to sports, and losing that rivalry just sucks. And I can say as a fan of the Buckeyes with experience how badly it sucks. For instance, right now the Buckeyes are favored to win the national title. The real big hoop for us is to get past Texas. I think we're a better team than Texas. I think Oregon was a much better team than Texas, and then we smoked Oregon. But if we win this, the one thing we didn't do this season was beat Michigan. And so Michigan won last year. If we won this year, we say, yeah, we're national champion. But then a Michigan fan could say, y'all ain't beat us, though. And I have nothing to retort. What I'm going to say, oh, well, nigga, enjoy the Tostitos Bowl or something. They going to say, yeah, we beat y'all, though. And then they are absolutely correct. And so that freaking loss is important. So rivalry is important. It's just that it's just so much around it that I go, hey, man, that's cool. But I will always deal with.
Orlando said we've gone through a head coach and GM since Ohio State beat Michigan.
You all knew the shit that Shane O'Mac, I'm sorry that we're going to eventually beat you on the national title. It's going to suck. I know. I'm happy that you all got there. Marcus Freeman, yay, good job, black man. You're going to beat Penn State. Then we're going to smoke you all by 30. It's going to suck. But, hey, welcome to the Ohio State Invitational. Anyway, Orla does it all the time, what means about Ohio State losing. But rivalry games are important. It's just that this season sucked the fun out of it so much that I'm just not as happy as I could be.
I'm on the other side. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed the hell out of it in a year where I didn't have much to be excited about. I was excited about it. And also because for the first time, I was like, there's no way that we're going to win. Like, even when I said I'm not picking them, part of me was like, oh, we can win. But I just put all that aside, and I just knew, like, towards in the fourth quarter is when I wanted it. Like, when they had the lead, I was like, okay, it was 6 minutes left in the game. I was like, okay, now I want this win. And I tweeted, now that I want the win, I'm definitely not going to get it. And as soon as I tweeted that, not even 5 minutes later, DJ Moore fumbled. And I was like, there it goes. There's the Lambeau moment that always happens every time the Bears play the Lambeau. And I said, doesn't matter the quarterback, they own us. And, that stop by TJ Edwards on that third down was very key. Held them to that long field goal. They made the field goal, but they left Caleb a minute on the clock. He did great. And once that ball crossed the plains, I went the uprights. I was ecstatic. I was happy. I'm not going to lie. That was my Super Bowl. Like you said, Alex said, Caleb undefeated in Lambeau. I'll take it, and with everything that we've been through this year, to start off the year with a win, and that just makes them, whoever's here next year, especially Caleb, feel like, oh, them niggas ain't the big bad bully anymore. Or maybe for Caleb's probably thinking, I should have beat them niggas twice. Like Caleb's probably thinking that, and you want that mentality to change. You know, look at guys like Jalen Johnson who've been here forever, have never been beating the Packers. And you could just see how much it meant to the team. And Packer fans can talk all that bullshit if they want. It irritated them. Oh, it irritated them. You can see it in their faces at the game. We've heard people who said they were at Lambeau. By the way, me and Joe were supposed to go to Lambeau. We said, fuck it. And I truly believe that if we would have went, that we'd have lost, that they'd have lost. I truly believe that. But I feel like, you know, that just shows like how much people care. Shout out our guy B-Dot. He tweeted, I'd rather beat the Bears twice than make the playoffs. So like this rivalry is still real between the fan bases and the teams. The general public does not care about this rivalry. It's not a rivalry to them anymore. And I understand because the Packers been beating the Bears since the Reagan, not even Reagan. Since George Bush Sr. Like that's how long they've been beating them, you know. So, but I enjoyed it. I posted all the memes. I thought it was a great way to end the season. And if you're Caleb Williams, now you know you can beat them. And by the way, I don't care that Malik Willis was a quarterback. So stop throwing that at me. It could be my granny at quarterback. It's the Green Bay Packers. I do not care. The Packers went to the NFC, went to the Super Bowl because they beat Caleb Haney. So I don't want to hear that. It doesn't matter who's playing who in this rivalry. If you got a Green Bay uniform on, it's on. That's how I look at it. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice way to end. In my opinion, the most disappointing season that I've watched. But it was good. So let's move on to what happened on Tuesday. The year-end press conference. So I took the drive up to Halas Hall, and it said in the email only Ryan Poles was going to speak, but then we walked in there and I saw George, I saw Kevin Warren, and another McCaskey who I don't know. They came in there, sat, huh?
That's his brother.
Yeah, okay, George McCaskey's brother sat, and we listened to Ryan Poles speak for 25 minutes, and then they move us to the midway to hear George McCaskey and Kevin Warren speak, which I didn't understand why they just couldn't meet in the damn press conference room. That just didn't make any sense to me. My leg fell asleep, nigga, while we was waiting for the niggas to talk. And it was them three. It was a big contention there. It was those three. It was Ryan Poles, and it was special advisor to Kevin Warren and
Patrick McCaskey. Sorry, I had to look it up.
That's his name, Patrick. Okay.
He has like 20 siblings. There's a lot of siblings.
Okay. Ted Cruz, who Ryan Poles stole from Kansas City. And the only reason I knew who Ted Cruz was, he's
his name is Ted Cruz?
Yeah, the black dude. Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, that's it. I'm looking at the fucking front office on the website.
I'm thinking Ted Cruz.
No, not Cruz. Ted Cruz. See, like how Terry Crews.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So they stole him from Kansas City. Only reason I knew who he was because remember when the Bears played Kansas City last year, I remember him standing there while Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid was talking, and you know he was telling only a couple more, basically what Aaron does, but he's like the bigger version. So basically, he was having order between the media because media was cutting each other off left and right trying to get these questions in. So my initial reaction, and you give me your reaction from watching. I don't know, you probably didn't watch it, you was in school. But when I was in the press conference for Ryan Poles, I initially didn't think it was that bad. I thought he handled himself pretty well. Then I saw the reaction to it, not from fans. Fuck what the fans say. They're going to be mad, whatever. But from other Chicago media members, I was like, okay, am I tripping? Did I miss something? So when I got back to the crib, I watched the interview again, make sure I wasn't tripping, and it was way worse than I thought it was. I didn't hear when Dan asked him about, how you're going to make things easier for Caleb with all the trials and tribulations he went through this year. And, he said with the difficulty he went through this year, Ryan Poles looked him in the face and asked him, what difficulty you talking about? Nigga, for real? So, I didn't peep. Now, I was sitting all the way in the back because I got there, only 10 minutes before the press conference started. So, I probably didn't hear that part. I don't know if you peeped, Joe. They got that microphone there, but it never, when you're there, it doesn't feel like it's on.
No.
If you're watching on the stream, obviously you can tell it's on. But when you're in the room, it doesn't feel like it's on. Right. So, in the back, I didn't hear as clearly. And David and Cap said on the show today that the Bears told Ryan Poles to sit at the podium, not stand up, because they didn't want the media to see him fidgeting and things like that. And Ryan Poles said, fuck that, and did it anyway. Very interesting nugget that Cap brought up on the show today. But after rewatch, I was like, okay, this is not good. This is not good. Kevin Warren, if you've seen one Kevin Warren press conference, you've seen them all. At this point, I legitimately don't know what he does. He keeps talking about the stadium, or as I think it was Kevin Fishbane or Adam Hogue said that you've been here 3 years now. No, you've been here 2 years now. He's like, 20 months. Like, it's funny how they be trying to make jokes with the media, and we like, nigga, we don't care. And that's why I told yesterday, somebody tweeted us, I said, I asked everybody what their opinion was on the events. They was like, well, it doesn't make any better that the media doesn't put their feet to the fire. Y'all be wanting us to go up there and ask questions that's going to get our credentials revoked. Like, cut the crap. Like, I think Chicago media, Bears media at least, are some of the toughest in the NFL. They hold everybody to the fire. So I didn't get that. But I was like,
I will say, I think people want us to ask questions disrespectfully,
Yeah, questions that get you your credentials taken.
As long as the frame of question is, how are you doing your job? Why did you make this decision? What you doing going forward? You'll be fine. If they want us to go there and say, well, when Flus was there, Flus, what the fuck are you doing? This is a stupid ass decision. I know I was going to say that. What we will say is, you made a call on third down to do so-and-so. What went through your mind when you were saying, and what about the alternatives? He says something and we follow up with, have you considered so-and-so? And they go, no. For instance, the game before last, when
you're going to get on that Thomas Brown thing that you couldn't stand.
when we were talking about a zero blitz and dealing with these timeouts, or going for it on fourth down, I said, your season's over. You're past the 40. Why not go for it? He's like, no, going for it is bad coaching. I was like, but it gives you a chance you to evaluate how good your fourth down is, how good your quarterback is in these situations, your line. It's so valuable. Then when we're talking about dealing with a zero blitz, and he says, there's just no good options, and there's a repeat question. That's how you ask. So I'm not sure I think Bears fans want media to have the same vitriol, and you can't do that. You have to be as reasonable as you can, even if you're asking a question that is frustrating, because even the media gets frustrated too. A lot of them grew up in Illinois, probably were Bears fans, and have to remain professional, especially if they're doing it by a big outlet where that's required. While we're not journalists, we're still media, and we still have our own standard we want to adhere to. And so we get the frustration because we're still fans, but something you just have to be more reasonable about.
Yeah, I agree. And so what I was saying, I don't know what Kevin Warren is talking about anymore. Like, and then they weren't answering questions. And somebody said only the Bears don't reveal contract extensions for coaches. And no, they're not the only ones. I feel like that's protocol in the NBA, NFL, for whatever stupid reason. And Kevin Fishbane had a real good point on the Hogan Johns podcast today where he said, with the players, we put all the information out. Why is it when you ask any GM or a coach what their contract is, that it doesn't matter? What I got from that is that no, Ryan Poles is not extended, because when they asked Kevin Warren and George McCaskey, they asked George McCaskey, do you think that if a candidate doesn't want Ryan Poles, would you get rid of him? He was like, I've never had that happen. I think in George's mind, he thinks the Bears more revered than they really are. And then Kevin Warren basically said, he said in so many words that we would consider getting rid of this nigga if somebody don't want him. Like that. That's the answer I got. And then also he's still hell bent on having this stadium in Chicago. It's not going to happen. He says that there's going to be shovels on the ground by the end of 2025. Well, if that's the case, it's going to be in Arlington Heights. So that was just what stood out to me. I don't care about Kevin Warren press conferences anymore. He's literally a walking press release. And they just need to stop putting a camera and a microphone in front of George McCaskey. He's a nice man. I have nothing bad to say about George as a person. He's a nice man. If you see him in the hallway, he'll say what up to you. He'll talk to you. He's a nice person. He's a terrible chairman. It just is what it is. And he seems clueless. They asked him about what makes you believe in Ryan Poles? He was stuttering like Ryan Harper. Like it was ridiculous.
Why that you just stuttered yourself?
While I said it. See, it's rubbing off on me. So they to keep the camera and thing away from him. To me, whatever worries you had, every concerns you had about the Bears, to me, there's no way you walk away from yesterday and walk any more confident. And that was just the vibe that I had being there. Now, what was your vibe from when you watched it and what you took from it?
I saw someone in Ryan Poles who looked determined but was terrified of the potential of failing at his job and not securing the good coach that he wants to secure. When it came to Kevin Warren, it's just executives. It's like we say coach speech is executive speech. You're going to do something to secure your brand, to make it seem more better than it is, and you're not going to give away too many details. That's just what executives do. If you were looking at it, an insurance company or some big corporation after a fallout happened, they're still going to praise themselves for the things that they do and not take any blame. So I think some fans need to have tempered expectations. I just don't think you'll see it say, yeah, no, we fucked up. It was terrible. We're not a good run organization. We got to do better. You're not going to hear that, especially when you have a tradition like the Bears. This is old, I don't want to say they're definitely not middle class, but they have like this aura that responds to middle class folks well. It's like they're proud. They're not going to ever do that. With George, again, a very, very nice person, but he just is not good at his job. I'll never forget me asking him 3 years ago or something like that why don't you have younger people here? And then he admits that, man, I don't really know what I'm doing with football. So I have football people around me. And knowing that, I say you shouldn't have a say in the decisions then when it comes to football operations. Now, when it comes to stadiums, things of that matter, cool. But I don't know how deep his influence goes, but it should ever be, ooh, I like that kid. Let's do that. No, it should be just keep yourself out of that situation. Keep yourself out of the talks of the GM and the head coach. Let Kevin Warren handle that. Who's been in football in different organizations. Like, let him in different situations, whether it's the Big Ten commissioner working with the Vikings, like, let him deal with that. You hire that person for the job, let them hire it. Keep yourself out. I would prefer if I didn't hear from George McCaskey at all. I don't know why he's speaking to us. There's no purpose for you here. You're the chairman. You delegate people to do the job revolving football. So I don't need to hear from you. So that's my biggest perspective on there. I don't trust the decision that they're going to make because they have not made a good decision in some time. And it will take trust based on experience for me to think highly or better than what I think of them right now. That's just my current take on it.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into the next topic about you said, do you think we're gonna find out leaks about how these interview? Maybe. I don't think you will. You probably just gonna hear about who the finalists are. Like, I'm trying to think where, yeah, you're right, Orlando. George Mouthpiece of family. Somebody had a great tweet where they said the Bears family, the Bears company structure is like Succession, except everybody is Greg. I was like, that is an amazing. Yeah, everybody's Greg. That's terrible. He said, did they Zoom call Vrabel? They did. We'll get into that in just a minute. But that goes into what they asked about who's going to be running the search. And we didn't get a clear answer. All we know is they're putting together a team. It's like 15 people on that list. Like, me and Mike, you were talking about this today. They're doing Zoom meetings. Vrabel going to have to go to the next page just to see all 18 niggas in the room. Like, you don't need all these people to be involved in it. You just said, I don't need George in the meetings. George, sign the checks and get out the way. Kevin Warren, sign the check and get out the way. If I think one thing I'm 100% clear on, Poles had nothing to do with Eberflus being fired. I mean, with being hired. I'm fully in that camp now. I don't think he had a thing to do with that. And to me, it should be Poles' call. And if Kevin Warren is really on some, I'm gonna decide it, then just Kevin and Poles. Why does everybody? Why Tanisha Wade got to be in it? Why the director of personnel has to be in it? Like, I don't get that. Do you have a problem with the team they put together?
I like Tanisha Wade in the position she's in. I really, maybe it's my bias, but I do like her. I do not believe in delegating it by a committee. It's inefficient. You know, it's like democracy.
Exactly.
Democracy is the only moral choice for a society, but it is painfully inefficient because the more opinions, the less clear things get. I would
Right.
prefer if you hire someone for their job and then you allow them to make the decisions. They have people around them that help them with the decision, but ultimately the decision is theirs. Not we have this crew. We're putting together a team. Nick Fury ass shit doing. I don't need to see that, bro. Just you know what I'm saying? Just Kevin Warren's the CEO. Kevin Warren handles the people who run the football operations while he's working on the building getting secured, and then call it a day.
Oh, that's the other thing I got to it too. So from what I took from it, correct me if you thought otherwise. I got it that Ryan Poles is gonna put together the finalists, but Kevin Warren's gonna have the final say. That's what I got from it. Right. Did you get that?
No, I still think so. My thing is this: Kevin Warren will definitely have input. I think the leash is short on Ryan Poles. Like, if this season is a failure with no sign of improvement, he's going to get fucking fired. Because, I mean, 5 wins. You had, what was it the first year? Ryan Poles?
The first year was 3 wins, 7 wins,
3 wins,
5
7 wins, 5 wins. So you're going backwards. So you can't get lower than 5. You can't get 5. You can't get 7 again. You probably got to get 8.
He got to get 8.
You probably got to get 8 wins.
And I'm going to come clean. He might have to get 9.
If I'm Kevin Warren, he has to go above 500, which is 9 wins. You get the 9 wins, you keep your job. That means something's going well. You improved on last year, which is why I thought he did enough to lose his job, because you went backwards. There was no improvement. And then it's because of the team you made. But now that you don't have Eberflus, that means you're making the choices just like you made the choice on this quarterback. You have a team you constructed. You are fully to blame for it. But I don't think Kevin Warren will have as much influence as we think. But yeah,
that's gonna
definitely
be
damn near a playoff team.
Yeah, I'm with you. And here's I want to go over I don't like the process. Like, I understand Bears fans are reacting to every coach that, and first I wouldn't like that either, but I think this list is ridiculous, and I think we're getting eerily close to the process they went through to hire offensive coordinator, where they interviewed like 14 people and they picked Shane Waldron. To me, we're getting eerily close to that. We are now officially on 16 candidates. Okay. And it would have been 17 before Jerry Jones said, no, you niggas ain't interviewing Mike McCarthy. And by the way, if the Bears still want to interview Mike McCarthy, they just got to wait till Tuesday. His contract runs out on Tuesday. Then they don't need Jerry Jones' permission. But if Jerry Jones says no, that tells me that Jerry Jones is trying to work out on an extension with Mike McCarthy before his contract runs out. But this is who is scheduled to have who the Bears have reached out to have an interview. Okay. So we've got Thomas Brown obviously is going to get an interview. And I know a lot of people were upset about that. I have no problem with that. I think it's just a sign of respect to give him the interview. He's not going to get, all right, let's be 100% real about that. Mike Vrabel had his interview today. And by the way, and this is another, I have a problem with the process. All the first round interviews are all being via Zoom. Now, for coaches of teams who are in the playoffs, they can only do Zoom. But to me, there's no reason why Mike Vrabel or Pete Carroll aren't actually in the building. I forgot one of the Twitter follow. I need to tweet his name. I don't want to mess his name up. He's a good guy to interact with on. Here we go. Lester A. Will Fong Jr. He tweeted something that made me think maybe I'm tripping. He says 2025 initial virtual interviews for job opening are the norm. If you like a candidate, then you set up an in-person meeting. Also, first wave interviews probably all be done in the same format. There are plenty of things to be annoyed by. This ain't one. And I thought, like, okay, you got a point. It's just the Bears. I don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Right. But I still think you should have a guy like Vrabel or Pete Carroll in your actual building. But all the first round interviews will be in Zoom. So they already interviewed Mike Vrabel today. They tweeted it out on their account. So they're going to be interviewing Ben Johnson on Saturday. Ben Johnson's only interviewing with 4 teams. And he said he's only going to be taking interviews with teams he can legitimately see himself taking a job with. And that's he's going to be interviewing with the Raiders and with the Patriots on Friday. And he's going to be interviewing with the Bears and the Jaguars on Saturday. Now, all the rumors we've heard, Tom Pelissero, Albert Breer, Adam Hogue even added something to us today, where they say that he has no problem working with Ryan Poles, and they said that he really wants to work with Caleb Williams, that he is infatuated with Caleb Williams. And with the Jaguars keeping Trent Baalke as their general manager, and if you thought Ryan Poles is bad, him and Chris Ballard the worst GMs in football, and they keep their jobs over and over again. That to me takes the Jaguars out of it. But to me, it sounds like that's who they're gonna be. So they interview Ben Johnson on Saturday. They're gonna be interviewing Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn on Saturday. They're going to be interviewing Anthony Weaver, who's the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins, Drew Petzing, who's the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals, Mike Kafka is the offensive coordinator for the Giants. I think they interview him tomorrow. Brian Flores from the Vikings, Arthur Smith, who's the offensive coordinator for the Steelers, Mike McCarthy. No, not McCarthy. That's not. I gotta take that off. Todd Monken will be who's the offensive coordinator for the Ravens. David Shaw, who is ex-head coach of Stanford, but that nigga ain't coached in a while. Joe Brady, who's the offensive coordinator for the Bills. Pete Carroll, obviously. Cliff Kingsbury, we found out today, has been added to it. He's not going to be taking a lot of interviews, too, because he's going to be in the same wave that Ben Johnson was last year. He has no problem with staying in Washington. And then the last one that was added today, Matt Campbell, who is the head coach of Iowa State. So that is 16 candidates. For me, and Joe, you correct me if you think I'm tripping, these are way too many names, bro. Way too many names. Now it should be 8 tops, in my personal opinion. And some of these names just random. And I feel you're giving yourself with the Bears. You know they do stuff like fall in love with the little engine that could type coach. Keep it to the niggas like these niggas drafted Mr. Trubisky because they liked his car and because when he met with Ryan Pace, he put his name as Jim McMahon. Like it's just stupid stuff they do with that I hate, and so that to me is like keep it simple, stupid. And that's why I don't like the process. I could be wrong. Maybe they get it right, and I'm the idiot here. But me and I know a lot of other Bears fans do not like this process. What's your thoughts on it?
I don't. For me, I treat like I'm like a data scientist. I don't mind the amount. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You want to be a little bit more, the idea that you want to be more selective and you want to whittle your list down. But so many coaches have been hired amongst the long list and turned out to be great and you didn't expect it. And some people who seem like a sure shot have been terrible. And it just goes to show you this is not a science. It's an art. It's an art form. And for me, that's the more the merrier. I'm going to get all these people out the way. I'm going to make sure I hire different personalities, different types. Like some people are settled offensive coach. I'm not settled on offensive coach. You can have a defensive coach as well. It just matters that you're a better, you're a good coach at what you do. Because at the end of the day, football does not have as much parity as we think it is. It's still going to be dominated by great teams, and these great teams are going to have runs. And how you select people is just, it's not a sure thing. It's so, in my opinion, you got, was it 18 people? How much it is?
It's 16.
16 people? That's fine.
And there's going to be more names added. They polls.
Right. And on top of that, they're just doing Zoom interviews. It's very quick. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're saying, here, come in, to Zoom interviews. And the way the world is now, Zoom interviews are very common. I mean, for my own job, they interview like freaking 7 people. And it's for theology. Like it's not even in what is, I don't know what the word would be. It's not a popular position. And so I'm not, for my position, my own job, it's not a popular position. So I'm not mad at them at the number. Just get it right. Only thing I care about is taking your time. So much say that I should probably say I don't care about the number. It can be 16, it can be 6. Just get it right. Ryan Pace, I think inside of him rests a good GM. He just ain't showed it. Probably the worst thing for me, the most egregious, is how the fuck do you forget the offensive line? I can forgive forgetting the defensive line before I can forgive forgetting the offensive line because he was an offensive lineman. My hope is that he learns and humbles himself because that freaking Kieran pick, the nigga from fucking Ivy School, I'm never going to forget. So I don't mind the number. It's fine. It is what it is. I do think the Bears represent a very okay, let me say that back. If I take away the Bears and their shittiness and how they've been a sucky franchise, and I look at the personnel they have within this team, I think this is a very appealing opportunity to any head coach prospect. You got a young quarterback who's proven himself to be a franchise quarterback. You can mold him to be even better. You've got solid skill players across the board, whether that's freaking Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift. Dwight Anderson probably would have had 1,000 if he would have had a better line. Like you have good freaking skill players on the defensive side of the ball. You got young playmakers in the defensive backfield. You got Jaquan Brisker when he's healthy. I pray he's going to do better. You got Kyler Gordon, who I think could be a Pro Bowler, who's a stud. You got Jalen Johnson, top 3-man corner in the fucking league. You got a good linebacker core in T.J. Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, and then when they're playing outside of the nickel, Jack Sanborn. The biggest struggle, and then on the defensive line, you got Montez Sweat. The biggest struggle will be assembling that two line, but that's a much better position than so many of these other teams. Whereas New England, you got Drake May, and good luck. The Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence's ass, and
they got $135 million in cap.
You know what I'm saying? And he's not going to develop, so it looks appealing if I ignore how we feel about the Bears as a franchise. So again, my main point, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Okay. Let's move on to our final topic, man. I want to put together our coach wish list. Like, who's your top 5 of people? Do you want to go first? Do you want me?
Oh yeah. So because honestly, I put my
I think you put yours on the pod page.
I put my picks on the on the 79th Halas page, and I think it was pretty easy. But basically, first is Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson is a fucking slam dunk. I thought Trevor was going to be good, but he's ass. It sucks, but he's ass.
Trevor Lawrence going to his 5th season. He is what he is.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do with him? He just is what it is. That whole QB class is ass.
It's terrible. It's terrible, bro. And Trevor's the best of them.
Right. So I have my list on here from the 7th Halas page. Ben Johnson is the number 1 pick. I mean, taking a mid quarterback like Jared Goff, making him have his best season as a pro, near 40 touchdowns, just lighting up the field, and then utilizing 2 running backs effectively so much that you're like, dog, he knew what he had in Jameer, but he still was able to utilize freaking Demo. Then looking at the receiving core is just okay. Samon Ra, who I think is a good possession receiver, but he ain't going to go past you. He ain't going to get up. But then you follow that with Jamison Williams, who is going to get past you. I think he's done just a marvelous job. And then Sam Laporta, as tight end. See how he's utilized every player on the field. That's the biggest thing, is the diversity of playmaker. He uses every single fucking skill player. It's insane. He seems like a home run as a coach, and it terrifies me that I feel this optimistic about him as a coach. But he is my number 1 pick. After him, I'm going to go Joe Brady as my 2nd pick. While he is not as impressive as Ben Johnson, I still think what he's done as the offensive coordinator with the Buffalo Bills, this is his.
It's a year and a half. But they fired Ken Dorsey last year, and they brought him in.
And so he's coming in as the offensive coordinator in a time where they have lost so many skill players. I mean, you lost Stephon Diggs and who other dude's name, number 13?
Gabriel.
Yeah, right, Gabriel. So you lost him, and you're still able to make Josh Allen, which will probably get his first MVP, which is bullshit, but whatever. The only issue I have with him is the fact that he has not done it for a long time. The last time he did it was the Panthers in 2020, and I don't remember that highly. But again, I don't think this is the best list for coaches.
Gabe Davis, that was the name. We were completely off.
Let me say Gabriel. It's not far.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's true.
Next on my list is Mike Vrabel. I put him lower than that because I just feel like he's going to New England. I just seem like
that nigga's going. Did you see the nasty Rooney Rule interviews they did yesterday? Let's get 2 niggas here. Robert Kraft, who's the black who coached Tommy? Yeah, Leftwich. Let's get him. And Pepper, he used to play for us. Get those 2 niggas in here. That's what they did. That deal will be announced Saturday morning before the game start.
So he was never high on my list because the only possibilities I saw for him, if Ryan Day did not or like shit the bed in the first round of CFP.
Ryan Day finna get a lifetime deal. You know that's happening.
If he wins the Natty, I don't care.
If he wins the Natty, he's getting a lifetime deal.
If he goes to the Natty, he's here for quite some time.
Yes.
I just have to accept that. If he wins a Natty, then all is forgiven. You won a fucking Natty. But now, since you won a Natty, you need to beat Michigan, which would be the next thing. And if he doesn't beat Michigan next year, but we win a Natty, I'm calling for his firing. But the only thing I thought of Mike Vrabel is maybe if Ryan Day stinks to join the first round, then he'll go. Mike Vrabel will have an opportunity to become the Ohio State head coach, make a reunion, come back to your alma mater. That's not going to happen. So now he's going back to his next alma mater, which is New England. So I didn't have him high on my list because I'm still assuming he's going to New England. Next on my list, I have Monken. Todd Monken.
Todd Monken, yeah, offensive
how do I pronounce that?
Todd Monken. It's Monken.
He's a little bit older than these other coaches. I think he's like near 60. But he has been in the game of football since like the freaking 90s. He's been the coordinator before he's with the Browns. Georgia?
Todd Monken is 58.
Buccaneers? Was he the coordinator? He wasn't the coordinator when the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl.
No, he was coordinator for the Buccaneers from 2016, 2018. Right. Before that, he was the wide receivers coach.
So I like what he's done with Lamar Jackson. He was with Georgia twice. So 2 titles with Georgia. I like what he's done with Lamar Jackson. Again, Lamar Jackson is having the greatest year he's ever played, and he's a 2-time MVP.
And another 1,000-yard rushing season for Derrick Henry, and he's making Bateman look like a great receiver, and Zay Flowers got to his first Pro Bowl.
That in itself is an incredible thing. I have to.
And they have the number 1 ranked offense in football.
Right. Fifth on that list, which my final pick on my list, because outside that I don't give a shit about any of them, is Aaron Glenn. Now, of course, he's the defensive coordinator for the Lions, but seeing the job he's done with the defense that has just been beat to hell,
all the injuries,
it's just impressive. And give me that. Has just been impressive. So I forgot about Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll will be after this. So Aaron Glenn was probably he's only the second defensive coach I have on my list outside Vrabel. So I don't mind those two as defensive coaches. If I knew Vrabel was for sure open to anybody, Vrabel would be second. But yeah, Aaron Glenn is the final. After that, Pete Carroll, I don't know how old Pete Carroll is.
Pete Carroll's 73. If he was 10 years younger, I'd be fine with it. If you're going to bring in Pete Carroll, you have to have a successor plan like North Carolina has with Bill Belichick.
He's 73 years old, and though he appears to be in solid shape.
Oh, he's a young nigga at heart, but he's
just old.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't think the game of football has passed him up. I mean, I think he's managed to get so much.
My only issue he got a loyalty to keeping terrible coordinators. You know who his last coordinator was? Riddle me this, Batman. Shane Waldron.
Shane Waldron had a good offense that year.
Shane Waldron, bro.
He had a good offense that year. I mean, I look at his entire history since coaching the Seahawks since 2010. He has had 2 losing seasons, making the playoffs repeatedly. Even in his last 2 years, when you're coming off Russell Wilson, you're adjusting to having Geno Smith. He still got so much out of that team. And I'm pretty sure this will be. They won the division this year, right? It's first year with McDonald, though. But I still think the game hasn't passed him up. I still would be open. He wouldn't be my top 5 pick. He'd be the honorable mention 6th man, but I'd still be open to him. That's my list.
My list is not that long. My list is 4 niggas. The rest I gotta be sold on. I'm low key Ben Johnson or nothing. That's what for my excitement levels. That don't mean it's gonna work. Ben Johnson could get the coach job and be terrible.
He but you be feel good that you did the right choice.
I'm doing the same thing Ben Johnson I did with Caleb.
Right, it's like with Caleb. Yeah. If Caleb sucked ass, I would not be mad at the Bears because I would say that's the right choice. You made the correct decision.
Exactly.
Like bear in mind, I think Jaden and Bo Nix had better years, but I don't think they faced the odds that Caleb had. And so I'm happy with the fact that, I agree with that comment. He definitely has a very, very good track record of developing QBs. But if they got Ben Johnson and he was ass, I wouldn't say if the Bears fuck it up. No, he just was trash.
He was just trash.
You know what I'm saying? Football's not a science. Most teams fail. Remember, only one team wins the Super Bowl.
Most coaches fail. I think our guy Herb Howell said it good. He said good. I think it was on Courtney Cronin's podcast. Whatever. There's a 30% success rate with coaches in the NFL.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And Alex, that's what I'm holding on to. We fell ass backwards in the Caleb. Maybe we do it again with head coach. The Bears had to be saved by Lovie Smith saying, screw them.
Right.
We're going for it on 4th and 26.
And it's funny, the Bears position themselves as like the worst fucking franchise of all time and how we're terrible. And part of that is just like this self-pity. But the Bears at least have an era when they were good. Other teams don't. Because why? Football's a difficult game. Most teams fuck up. I look at Jacksonville Jaguar fans and they're like, they got an owner who just
I'm gonna answer this question real quick.
Don't give a shit. At least George McCaskey admits he don't fucking know football, but he gonna find somebody who does. Even if it's old, I appreciate the fact that he's gonna find it. It's not like you're with Jerry Jones, who the game passed him up. he's not giving up any control unless he dives. You're in hell. I think sometimes Bears fans need to chill on that. But if they get Ben Johnson, at least it'll make sense.
I got to answer this real quick. Damien said, questions. If the Bears do sign Ben Johnson, you think Aaron Glenn will come as a package? No, it's not happening. He's getting a head coach job. And if he don't, he's going back to Detroit.
Right. On top, if I don't get the gig I want, I'm going to go back to
Detroit. Yeah, and Dan Campbell said, we'll take him back, man. If he doesn't get a job, we'll take him back. But yeah, I don't know who will be on Ben's staff yet. Well, that's something we find out if he actually gets hired.
More than likely, you're going to find people who he's developed with in the past. It won't be a splashy name that you know.
I heard Mark Brunell going to be brought in as QB coach.
I'm not mad at that. Honestly, I would assume he starts to look at some former players who want to get involved on that.
Robert Salah at DC. You can. I wouldn't be mad at that.
Especially he's someone who failed as a coach.
Yeah,
I still think he didn't have as much as
it wasn't his fault, man.
Right,
I blame the Jets.
Aaron Rodgers sucked ass. Also, he had Zach Wilson before that. It was a mistake to get Zach Wilson in the first place. But I think he could be a good DC. And when you're a person who is a great coordinator, became a head coach, failed, you're back in the coordinator sphere. It's probably a good chance for him to reprove himself again. So, I don't know.
Hey, like I said,
seventh man. He's seventh man for me.
Cliff is on my list. I'm about to show y'all. I don't have a top 5. I have a top 4.
I will say this is the first time in the Cliff Kingsbury offense that
he bounced back from his little slump.
Right. They had that slump where, Jay wasn't doing shit, and then they bounced back again. So maybe he's learned. Again, I'm not 100% opposed to it.
So this is my list for who I want.
I agree. If Lions lose both coordinators, we'll see.
This is my list right now for who I want, and I'm gonna do 5 because 4 is a weird number. I'm gonna do 5, top 5. But let's be very clear: the 5th one is not who I want. It's 4 offensive guys, 1 defensive guy. Number 1, obviously, Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, far and away, is who I want. Number 2, Todd Monken. I love how he's changed that Baltimore offense this year. It looks great. Everything looks great, and the way they played back in the second half, Baltimore was playing very up and down for majority of this year. They have finished the year off amazing. I also got to give credit to their defensive coordinator. Their defense is playing well, but the offense has been consistent all year. The Todd Monken is number 2 on my list. Number 3 on my list is Joe Brady. I really like what he did in Baltimore. I'm big on him. I don't think it's that sexy of a name. This one, Liam Cohen will be number 3 on here, but Liam Cohen hasn't been reached out yet. Number 2, so I'm going 3 with that. Number 4, I got Cliff Kingsbury. He gonna come in the Halas Hall dressed like Ryan Gosling on Crazy Stupid Love. He gonna have the shades. He gonna bring what I feel he has a relationship with Caleb. I wouldn't be mad at it. I know a lot of people wouldn't like that. I wouldn't be mad at it. Number 5, if you're gonna bring in a defensive mind, I would have Mike Vrabel here, but I'm 100% sure he's going to New England, so I'm not even gonna put him on here. Number 5 will be Aaron Glenn. If you are going to go defense out of guys left, that's who I would go. I don't want, and you're right, Joe. Just because defensive doesn't mean it can't work. But if your number 1 goal is to make your quarterback, reach his potential, I want an offensive guy. That's who I want. So that's my top 5. But let's be clear. Even if one of the other 4 is hired, I'm not getting excited unless it's Ben Johnson. Even if it is Ben Johnson, I'm not finna get hyped until I see it on the field. I'm done with the preseason hype stuff. I don't know about y'all. I ain't got it in me no more.
I'm over it.
And I don't care if they start 6-2. I need to be seeing meaningful football in December. If this team is in it around Christmas, then I get excited.
Right.
And then we still got to see, can you run it back? Because, the Bears like to have that real good 12-5, 13-3 year every 5 years.
They seem better than they actually are.
And then the next year they back to 8-8. I need to see it for a couple years, but that's what only one where I could be like, you know what? They got it right this time. Is Ben Johnson. That's my list.
I agree. It just seems but again, the issue is that he's a coach in hot commodity, and a lot of teams are going to.
I don't need my head coach in town.
A lot of coaches are going to throw themselves toward him. A lot of organizations are going to throw themselves toward him. They're going to give them the things they want. They're going to make a lot of concessions. And so it's going to be tough, but I do think that he is the best candidate.
Period. From everything we hear from people in the know, not just local, but national, if the Bears pitch it right, it's going to be his job. So it's on the Bears to pitch it right.
Right.
That's like asking a baby, can you drive a car? So I don't have much faith in that. But that's it's like when a plane lands and you get news from the airport. Yes, you can land now. Land a plane.
Right.
The biggest distraction, the biggest issue was going to be Jacksonville getting rid of their GM. And now he be lined up with his GM in a much easier division. That's not happening. Trent Baalke's got his job. So, you know what I'm saying? Land the plane. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, Alex, last year he wanted this job. What we're hearing, Diana Rossini said today that he's enamored with Caleb Williams. Tom Pelissero and Albert Breer said the same thing. Land the plane.
Right.
All I'm asking for you. Scott, and now I do my best, brother. Thank you. But anyway, anything else you want to do before we get up out of here?
I think we pretty much touched on every subject.
I think we did too. Next time we'll be on here. It's just like asking a donkey to ride a bike. Yes, the things that go on in my mind. But we're gonna have more off-season pods. We're gonna make it our duty to give y'all more off-season content. When the coaching hire is announced, depending on what Joe's doing at the time, we're gonna go live and give y'all our initial reaction. If Joe can get
if I'm not available, somebody's gonna be on here for sure.
I'll be on here with a guest, probably banging somebody. So either way, there's gonna be a pod when it is announced on there. Y'all funny, give all different, like asking Greg to close the deal. Yes, it's like, yeah, exactly, 100%. Shout out to everybody who watched. Shout out to everybody supporters this year. We thought this was gonna be a better year. It was not. So hopefully it's better next year. So we'll be back. We said take a break from the that's funny. But we'll be back when the coaching hire is announced. Until then, y'all enjoy a great week of football. Got 2 college football games tomorrow and Friday, and then wild card weekend this weekend. And Joe will be on. I'm not gonna hold you this week because we're gonna be giving our picks.
Bachelor Joe.
They're going off your tweets that you was tweeting yesterday.
Hold on.
Well, I'll let y'all, man. We up out here.
Since Bobby Ingram, Curtis Ennis, know that we've been loyal way back from the beginning. A trusted source for the news. 79th Halas, what it is, what it do. Since Bobby Ingram, Curtis Ennis, know that we've been loyal even when we wasn't winning. A trusted source for the news. 79th Halas in your ears, you. Since Bobby Ingram, Curtis Ennis.